G'day everyone, my name's Mitch. I'm a YouTube educated woodworker. I like to start documenting what I'll make, just something so that I can look back on when I'm too old to do it myself anymore. So this one here is the deer head I'm making. This is actually the 6th deer head I've made in my life, but the other 5 didn't get the luxury of being recorded. So this one, number 6, haven't named him yet, but yeah, he gets to be on the internet, lucky him. Now with this guy, I did do some basic drawings just so if I needed to I could replicate him. I'll spare you the details, but just some pretty drawings and cardboard cutout. That's the gist of his blueprint, if you will. Now what you just saw me gluing and clamping together was the first layer, which is going to make up the bulk of the head after I make 2 more. So again, let's trace this out, make a couple more layers. Now the observant person might ask, why have you cut all 3 separately? Why not put them all together and do them at the same time? And that's a great point, I could do that. The reason I choose to do it one at a time is because there's a lot less drag and it's just a smoother cut. And I don't mind then evening them out when the majority of the material's cut. So that's why I do it this way. Now any overhanging bits I've just tagged with the saw here, which is very satisfying, I've got to admit. And because the majority of the material has already been removed, there's a lot less drag when I'm doing this, so the cuts are cleaner, it's much smoother end result. Now just like we did with making 3 layers, now we're going to do the shield. Put all the timbers side by side, glue them, clamp them, wait it to set for about 24 hours at least. What I'm just making now, the cheeks go on the face, it will give the deer a little more character. Now anyone who's worked with wood can agree with this statement. When you cut indoors without a dust collector or even just a vacuum attached to your tools, it gets very dusty, so I think I'm going to clean up and call it a day for now. Now after a bit of a sleep, the shield had dried and was ready for cutting. Now I thought instead of doing like your traditional, timbers going up or left to right, I thought, what if it pointed downwards? So I decided I'd cut it in half, twist it and see what happens. The slightly annoying part about making this decision was that, well, it's going to take another day to dry. But that's okay, I've got all the time I need. The shield is going to have 2 layers. So the back layer is going to run horizontally, kind of like a support, and the front is going to have this funny looking arrowhead pointing downwards. Not quite a 45-degree angle, but looks nice, I thought. So to keep it clamped, I'm going to put the rear timbers on, glue them in place and screw them so that they'll stay in place. Then once it's dried, I can remove said screws and it will be a solid piece. Before I start cutting off the edges of the shield to make it the size and shape that I'd like, I just wanted to make sure there were no screws or nails in the way. Unfortunately, I missed one. No damage done to the blade or the timber. Just had to quickly remove it before continuing the cut. Now this bit is just doing some sanding and planing, making the shield flat. I've muted the clips because honestly it's like going to the dentist. Planed, sanded. Now it will just take one more day for the glue to dry. In the meantime, I'll use some putty to fill these voids here. Then after, I'll start the work on the antlers, which is the most complicated and frustrating part, but it's what makes it come to life, so I better do good. I thought it best to give the deer a bit of a haircut before I give him his antlers. And then I figured, nah, I'll be a brain surgeon instead. Now with some surgical precision, I managed to install his new antlers. Happy that the antlers fit, I removed them so I could then make a hole for the ears, as well as then cut the ears, shape the antlers and make them all good. It's a lot easier to work with them when they're in the vise, not in the deer. These next minute or so is pretty self-explanatory. Just putting the antlers in the vise and using the saw to cut off all the excess to give them the shape. It is a bit annoying because I try to get them as close to each other as I can, and then I realise that there's no such thing as perfect symmetry in nature. Now I'm starting to get on the final stretches. Very, very exciting. Just a quick blade change and we got back to cutting off those last little bits before we use sandpaper to turn them into more realistic so they're not jagged and ragged. After I got the shape of the antlers how I liked them, then it was to get the angle grinder, put a 40 grit disc on it. Trying not to get carried away with myself, enjoying the process. Taking a brief moment to just, admire the work. And then stepping back and realising I've got to do it again. After that came hand sanding, so it was just, 60, 120, I think I went well past 250. Just doing hand sanding on the whole thing, not just the antlers, but the deer head, the shield, everything. Staining it and varnishing it. The home stretch, if you will. This process is annoying because you want it done with. Just don't blink or you'll miss it. Oh, you missed it. No, you won't miss this next bit. You get to watch the whole deer head in one solid coat. Very awesome. Very good. Enjoy watching this. Now I realise I said that this was the final step. My mistake. I forgot to do this before. I need to put a wire on the back so you can hang it. And then after that we'll glue and screw the deer head straight onto the shield, only when it's dried. After that, put another second or third coat of varnish on it. Then he'll be ready for photo time. It is finished. He's had his 3 coats, he's been drying for a good long while in the breeze and the sun. You could almost say he's a bit tanned. I hold him affectionately to check to make sure that I've done my utmost to make him healthy and a happy boy. And then I promptly realised I've made a grave mistake. He's not sunglasses compatible. So I've made a note, if I make this again, I'm going to have to make it so you can, put accessories on him, a hat, some glasses, maybe a neck chain or something. Anyway, I've had a lot of fun. Thanks for watching.